on AMC True Crime.
Imagine marrying the person accused of plotting your own murder. Why? This chilling question is at the heart of Edwina Martin Brown's story, a tale of love, fear, and a deadly secret that spanned over a decade. On March 27, 2023, a quiet evening in Little Rock, Arkansas, turned deadly. At 4 p.m., police rushed to 4704 Fairley Drive following reports of gunshots. Inside, they found 36-year-old Edwina Martin Brown fighting for her life. Multiple gunshot wounds marked her body as paramedics raced against time to save her. Despite their efforts at the University of Arkansas Medical Science Center, Edwina's story came to a violent end. Her death sent ripples through the Little Rock community, where she was known for her genuine smile, her successful clothing boutique, Bodacious Beauty, and her dedication as a dance coach. But as news of her murder spread, whispers began about her husband, Danny Maurice Brown Jr. Those who knew their history understood this wasn't just another domestic tragedy, it was the final chapter in a story that began 11 years earlier. January 2012 marked the first time Danny Brown Jr. tried to end Edwina's life. Back then, she was 25 and dating Daniel Hill, a 22-year-old who made her smile again after leaving Brown. One evening, as Edwina and Hill visited her mother's Valley Crossing apartment, gunfire shattered their peace. Two men emerged from the shadows, Ivor Gordon and Quentin Jones. When the echoes of gunshots faded, Hill lay dead, and Edwina was fighting for her life with a bullet in her chest. The mastermind behind this attack? Danny Maurice Brown Jr., her ex-boyfriend and father of her two children. But what happened after this brutal attack defied all logic and set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately lead to that fatal day in March 2023. 2 weeks after surviving the shooting that killed her boyfriend, Edwina made a decision that stunned everyone. She married Danny Maurice Brown Jr., the very man accused of plotting her death. The same hands that allegedly hired hitmen to kill her now slipped a wedding ring on her finger. This wasn't just a story of murder. It was a complex web of love, fear, and control that spanned over a decade. The charges against Brown disappeared when Edwina stopped cooperating with prosecutors. Their social media painted pictures of happy family moments, while behind closed doors, tension built. They shared 2 children, a business, and 11 years of marriage marked by moments of joy and shadows of fear. No one could have predicted that the man who failed to kill her in 2012 would succeed in 2023. If you're asking yourself how someone could marry the person who tried to kill them, you're not alone. This story challenges everything we think we know about love, survival, and human nature. Before we delve deeper into Edwina's journey, take a moment to join our true crime community. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification to follow more compelling investigations into cases that make us question everything we thought we knew. What would you have done in Edwina's situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hearing different perspectives helps us understand these complex cases better. And if you believe this story needs to be heard, especially by those who might be in similar situations, hit that like button and share this video. Your engagement could help someone recognize warning signs in their own life. Born on May 16, 1986, in Little Rock, Arkansas, Edwina Angelica Martin grew up in a home filled with siblings and family connections. As the youngest of 4 children on her maternal side and third of 9 on her paternal side, she learned early to navigate complex family dynamics. Her parents, Edwin Eugene Moore Sr. and Betty Jean Martin, raised her in a household where family bonds ran deep. Tragically, she experienced loss at a young age when her oldest brother, Edwin K. Moore, passed away. Life in Little Rock shaped Edwina's personality and values. She was part of a close-knit community where church and family gatherings formed the backbone of daily life. The Williams Temple Church of God in Christ became her spiritual anchor, where Bishop Jewel R. Withers Jr.'s teachings influenced her outlook on life. Her extended family included 6 brothers and 5 sisters, creating a support system that would prove crucial in her later years. Among them was Carnetta Prayer, a special cousin raised as her sister, highlighting the blended nature of her family bonds. These early years instilled in Edwina the importance of faith, family, and community, values that would define her adult life. Edwina's path to success began at McClellan High School in Little Rock, where she graduated in 2004. During these formative years, she wasn't just another student. She showed early signs of entrepreneurial spirit through her involvement in Future Business Leaders of America and Decca Club. Her talent for performance emerged as she danced with the Flagline dancers, foreshadowing her future role as a dance coach. Following high school, she pursued higher education at the University of Arkansas Pulaski Tech, earning her associate's degree. Her career journey showcased her versatility and determination. Starting as a phlebotomy technician, she mastered the precise art of medical work. But her true passion emerged when she launched Bodacious Beauty Boutique, her clothing line that quickly gained a loyal following. The boutique became more than a business. It was a platform for her to connect with and uplift other women in her community. In 2020, she took on a new challenge, joining Blue Cross Blue Shield as a customer service representative, where she remained until her final day. Her professional life reflected her ability to balance multiple roles while pursuing her dreams, proving that small-town roots couldn't limit her ambitions. As a mother, Edwina poured her heart into raising her 2 children, Danny Maurice Brown III and Danielle Michelle Brown. Her dedication shone brightest when she became the coach of the Bejeweled dance team, where her daughter served as captain. For 4 years, she transformed young dancers into confident performers, celebrating every competition and achievement alongside them. Her commitment went beyond teaching dance steps. She was building self-esteem and leadership skills in each team member. In her community, Edwina was known for more than her roles as a business owner and dance coach. She shared daily devotions through social media, touching lives with messages of faith and hope. Her genuine smile became her trademark, lighting up rooms and social media feeds alike. At Williams Temple Church, she wasn't just a member. She was an active participant who brought energy and warmth to every gathering. Whether helping customers find the perfect outfit at her boutique or coaching young dancers, she created connections that lasted. Friends and neighbors often spoke of her willingness to help others, her infectious laugh, and her ability to find joy in life's simple moments. Her impact on Little Rock extended far beyond her immediate family, creating a legacy of kindness and community service. January 2012 began with violence at Valley Crossing Apartments in Little Rock. The winter evening seemed ordinary as 25-year-old Edwina visited her mother's apartment. The clock had barely struck 8 p.m. when 2 men appeared at the residence. What followed would alter multiple lives forever and set off a chain of events that would span more than a decade. The attackers struck with precision, their target clear. Gunshots pierced the night air, shattering the quiet of the apartment complex. Neighbors who heard the commotion called 911, their frantic voices describing the chaos unfolding. When police arrived, they found both victims bleeding heavily. Emergency responders rushed them to the hospital, where doctors worked desperately to save their lives. The scene they left behind at Valley Crossing told a story of calculated violence. Bullet casings scattered across the floor, broken glass and bloodstains marking the path of the attack. 2 sets of footprints led away from the scene, leaving detectives with their first solid leads in what would become one of Little Rock's most complex cases. After leaving Danny Brown Jr., Edwina found new happiness with 22-year-old Daniel Hill. Their relationship represented a fresh start,
far from the complications of her past. Hill brought lightness to her life, supporting her as she built her business and cared for her children. Unlike her tumultuous history with Brown, friends described her connection with Hill as gentle and nurturing. Hill understood the delicate situation Edwina faced as a mother of 2 children whose father remained in the picture. He respected the boundaries this created while building his own bond with her kids. Their relationship bloomed despite these challenges, and Edwina began to envision a future free from the shadows of her past relationships. Those close to the couple noted how Hill encouraged Edwina's independence, celebrating her achievements at work and supporting her dreams of expanding her boutique. In the months they dated, Edwina seemed to rediscover her smile, sharing photos of happy moments with Hill on social media. Their relationship, though relatively new, showed promise of something lasting, a partnership built on mutual respect and shared joy. No one could have predicted that their love story would end in bloodshed, least of all Hill, who had no connection to the violent world that was about to claim his life.
Danny Brown Jr.'s reaction to Edwina's new relationship revealed a dark possessiveness. Behind the scenes, he contacted 2 men, Ivor Gordon and Quentin Jones, to eliminate what he saw as a threat to his connection with Edwina. The plan took shape through secret meetings and phone calls, with Brown providing details about Edwina and Hill's routines, particularly their visits to her mother's apartment. Police investigations later revealed that Brown supplied Gordon and Jones with crucial information: the layout of Valley Crossing apartments, Edwina's schedule, and when she would likely be with Hill. Text messages recovered from the attackers' phones showed Brown's involvement in selecting the perfect moment to strike. He chose a time when Edwina's father would be at work, ensuring minimal witnesses. The payment for this deadly service, $5,000, was split between Gordon and Jones. The most chilling aspect emerged during the investigation. Brown specifically instructed the hitmen to eliminate Hill but only wound Edwina. This calculated decision showed his intent not just to remove his rival, but to regain control over Edwina's life. He believed that in her vulnerable state after the attack, she would turn to him for support and protection, never suspecting he was behind her trauma. The bullets that struck Daniel Hill proved fatal. After taking multiple shots to his chest and abdomen, he fought for his life in the emergency room of University of Arkansas Medical Science Center. Despite the medical team's desperate efforts, Hill's injuries were too severe. He was pronounced dead at 9:47 p.m., just hours after the attack began. Hill's death devastated his family and sent shockwaves through Little Rock. The young man with no enemies, no criminal record, was killed simply for loving the wrong person's ex-girlfriend. The medical examiner's report revealed the brutality of his final moments. 3 shots fired at close range, giving him little chance of survival. His family gathered at the hospital only to receive the news that would shatter their world forever. In the days following Hill's murder, his family shared stories of a man who lived with kindness and died protecting someone he loved. Witnesses later testified that in his final moments, Hill attempted to shield Edwina from the gunfire, an act of selfless courage that spoke to his character. His death left a void in many lives. His parents lost their son, his siblings lost their brother, and Edwina lost a partner who had shown her what healthy love could look like. Just 14 days after bullets tore through her chest, Edwina Martin made a decision that left investigators, friends, and family in disbelief. She stood before a minister and said, "I do," to Danny Brown Jr., the very man accused of planning her shooting and Daniel Hill's murder. The quiet courthouse ceremony happened without fanfare or celebration, witnessed only by a handful of people. Edwina wore a simple dress, the bandages from her gunshot wound still hidden beneath her clothing. The speed and timing of this marriage raised red flags among those closest to Edwina. Her mother, who had just weeks before helped tend to her daughter's gunshot wounds, couldn't comprehend this sudden union. Friends who had supported her through the tragedy struggled to understand how she could marry a man suspected of trying to kill her. The detective handling Hill's murder case learned of the marriage through routine surveillance, the news landing like a bomb in the investigation room. Even the court clerk who processed their marriage license noted the strange atmosphere, a bride still recovering from near-fatal injuries, a groom under police suspicion, yet both signing their names with steady hands. This wasn't just an unexpected marriage, it was the beginning of a complex chain of events that would affect every aspect of the murder investigation. The question everyone asked, why would a woman marry someone linked to her attempted murder? Experts in domestic violence patterns point to a complex mix of fear, trauma bonding, and survival instinct. For Edwina, the decision likely stemmed from multiple pressures converging at once. As the mother of Brown's 2 children, she faced the challenge of maintaining family stability. The shared custody of Danny III and Danielle created an unbreakable link to Brown, one he potentially used to his advantage. Financial dependency played its part. With medical bills mounting from the shooting and 2 children to support, Edwina's vulnerability peaked. Brown positioned himself as a protector and provider during her recovery, a calculated move that exploited her weakened state. Her isolation grew as friends struggled to understand her choices, inadvertently pushing her closer to Brown. The trauma of the shooting itself might have distorted her decision-making, creating a psychological state where returning to the familiar, even if dangerous, felt safer than facing an uncertain future alone. Most telling was Brown's behavior in the hospital during her recovery. He remained constantly present, controlling who could visit, managing her care decisions, and establishing himself as her primary support system. This period of intense vulnerability created a perfect storm where Brown could manipulate Edwina's fears and dependencies to his advantage. The marriage marked one point in a longer pattern of separations and reunions between Edwina and Brown. Before Daniel Hill entered the picture, Edwina had left Brown multiple times, each departure followed by passionate reconciliations. Friends recalled how Brown would appear at her workplace with gifts, make grand gestures of change, and promise a better future. Each time, the cycle repeated: tension, separation, reconciliation, peace, then tension again. This pattern intensified after Hill's death. Brown crafted a narrative of redemption and protection. He portrayed himself as Edwina's shield against further violence, though he was its source. On social media, they presented a united front. Their posts showed family outings, celebrations, and moments with their children. But close friends noticed Edwina's changing behavior. Her once active social life dwindled. Phone calls grew shorter, often ending abruptly if Brown entered the room. Her vibrant personality seemed muted in his presence, her natural warmth dimming when he was near. While she maintained her public roles, mother, business owner, dance coach, something had shifted. The woman who once lit up rooms with her smile now seemed to calculate every word, every move, every decision. Despite their curated social media presence, cracks in their relationship surfaced regularly. Neighbors reported frequent arguments echoing from their fairly drive home. At public events, friends noticed Brown's controlling behavior, monitoring Edwina's conversations, checking her phone, deciding who she could speak with. Her once independent business decisions now required his approval. Even more telling were Edwina's brief disappearances from social media, followed by returns with posts about working through challenges and staying strong in faith. The cycle continued, growing more intense with each turn, until that final fatal day in 2023. The newlywed bliss lasted exactly 4 days. On a cold morning, police cruisers surrounded Brown's residence. The evidence investigators had gathered proved too substantial to ignore, despite Edwina's sudden marriage to their prime suspect. Detectives arrested Brown, charging him with capital murder for Daniel Hill's death and an attempted capital murder for Edwina's shooting. The arrest affidavit revealed detailed evidence, phone records linking Brown to both Gordon and Jones, financial transactions showing money transfers, and witness statements placing him at meetings with the shooters. In custody, Brown maintained his innocence, claiming the marriage proved his love for Edwina. But investigators saw it differently. They viewed the hasty wedding as an attempt to prevent Edwina from testifying against him, as Arkansas law allows spouses to refuse to testify against each other. The arrest created an immediate crisis for Edwina. Now married to a man in jail for allegedly trying to kill her, she faced impossible choices. Her children's father sat in a cell while she recovered from wounds he supposedly ordered. The community watched as she navigated this nightmare. Her recent wedding ring now a symbol of the twisted situation she found herself in. By August 2012, the case against Danny Brown Jr. began to crumble. Despite strong initial evidence, the phone records, money transfers, and witness statements, prosecutors faced an insurmountable obstacle. Their key witness had become their greatest challenge. The district attorney's office found themselves in an impossible position. Without Edwina's testimony, the circumstantial evidence alone wouldn't secure a conviction. The prosecution's case against Gordon and Jones proceeded differently. Gordon received a life sentence, while Jones accepted a plea deal, receiving 55 years for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. But Brown, the alleged mastermind, walked free. The prosecution had to drop all charges against him, marking a frustrating end to months of investigative work. Little Rock's legal community buzzed with discussions about the case's collapse. The investigators who had built the case against Brown watched helplessly as their work unraveled. Some officers maintained close contact with Edwina's family, concerned about what might follow. The dropped charges meant Brown returned home to Edwina, their marriage now legally unchallenged. Edwina's transformation from key witness to uncooperative participant stunned prosecutors. Court documents described her as becoming increasingly antagonistic toward their efforts to convict Brown. In meetings with the district attorney's office, she changed her story multiple times. Details she had previously provided with clarity became clouded with uncertainty. Her once precise timeline of events grew vague and contradictory. Behind closed doors, victim advocates tried to reach her. They recognized the signs: a victim protecting her abuser, fear masquerading as love. But Edwina maintained her stance. In official statements, she claimed her initial accusations against Brown came from confusion and trauma after the shooting. She insisted that their marriage proved his innocence, that he wouldn't have harmed her or Hill. The prosecution team watched helplessly as their strongest witness slipped away. Her medical records told one story, a brutal shooting that nearly claimed her life. Her new statements told another, one of miscommunication and misunderstanding. When questioned about the evidence linking Brown to Gordon and Jones, she offered alternative explanations or claimed no knowledge. Every attempt to secure her cooperation met with increasingly firm resistance until finally, prosecutors had no choice but to accept their case had hit a dead end. From 2012 to 2023, Edwina and Danny Brown Jr. crafted an image of family restoration. Their social media accounts filled with carefully chosen moments, family gatherings, dance recitals, business celebrations. Edwina's bodacious beauty boutique flourished, with Brown often photographed at store events portraying the supportive husband. They attended church together at Williams Temple, where Edwina shared daily devotionals online, speaking of faith and forgiveness. Their children, Danny III and Danielle, grew up watching this complex dynamic unfold. Edwina threw herself into their activities, coaching Danielle's dance team and celebrating every milestone. In 2020, she secured a position at Blue Cross Blue Shield, adding corporate stability to their family income. Brown remained a constant presence, involved in both the business and family decisions. But those closest to Edwina noticed subtle changes. Her once frequent gatherings with friends became rare. Phone calls grew shorter, often ending abruptly if Brown entered the room. Her vibrant personality seemed muted in his presence, her natural warmth dimming when he was near. While she maintained her public roles, mother, business owner, dance coach, something had shifted. The woman who once lit up rooms with her smile now seemed to calculate every word, every move, every decision.
Despite their curated social media presence, cracks in their relationship surfaced regularly. Neighbors reported frequent arguments echoing from their Fairleigh Drive home. At public events, friends noticed Brown's controlling behavior, monitoring Edwina's conversations, checking her phone, deciding who she could speak with. Her once independent business decisions now required his approval. Even more telling were Edwina's brief disappearances from social media, followed by returns with posts about working through challenges and staying strong in faith. In early March 2023, changes in Edwina's behavior caught the attention of those closest to her. She began quietly reaching out to domestic violence resources, making careful phone calls during her lunch breaks at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Her sister noticed extra clothes missing from her closet, a subtle sign she might have been planning an escape. At dance practice, she confided in another coach about feeling unsafe at home. The week before March 27, 2023, Edwina took steps toward independence. She opened a separate bank account, something Brown discovered through their shared phone plans notifications. She also spoke with her children about staying with their aunt temporarily. Her social media activity shifted. She removed Brown from several photos and stopped sharing their location on posts. The final red flag came when she called her mother asking to store important documents at her house. These seemingly small actions represented huge steps toward freedom, but Brown noticed these changes too. Neighbors reported increased tension at the Fairley Drive home, with Brown's car coming and going at unusual hours. March 27, 2023 began as a typical Monday. Edwina went to work at Blue Cross Blue Shield, handled customer calls, and shared lunch with colleagues. Security cameras caught her final exit from the building at 3:30 p.m. She texted her daughter about dinner plans and headed home to Fairley Drive. What happened next was pieced together from neighbor statements and crime scene evidence. At 4 p.m., the quiet afternoon shattered with gunshots. Unlike the 2012 attack where Brown hired others, this time he allegedly confronted Edwina directly. Multiple gunshots rang out inside their home. A neighbor's security camera captured Brown's car leaving the scene minutes later. Inside, Edwina lay critically wounded in their living room, her phone just inches from her outstretched hand, screen displaying an unfinished 911 call. Emergency responders found her fighting for life, but this time, her injuries proved fatal. At the University of Arkansas Medical Science Center, doctors pronounced her dead at 5:17 p.m., ending an 11-year cycle of control and violence. Little Rock Police Department's response was swift after multiple 911 calls reported gunshots at 4704 Fairley Drive. First responders arrived within minutes, securing the scene while paramedics rushed Edwina to the hospital. Inside the home, detectives found signs of a confrontation: overturned furniture in the living room, Edwina's broken phone, and shell casings scattered across the floor. The investigation moved quickly, focusing immediately on Danny Brown Jr. His recent behavior had raised concerns. Neighbors reported seeing his car circle the block multiple times that morning, suggesting premeditation. Security footage from nearby homes captured his arrival and hasty departure. Inside the house, investigators discovered a notepad with Edwina's handwriting listing domestic violence hotlines and shelter addresses. Her work computer revealed searches for divorce lawyers and women's shelters dating back several weeks. Most telling were text messages to her sister expressing fear about Brown's increasing controlling behavior. A search of Brown's vehicle, found abandoned at his brother's house, yielded the suspected murder weapon and Edwina's purse, still containing her work ID. For 21 days, Danny Brown Jr. evaded capture, triggering a multi-state manhunt. Law enforcement finally located him on April 17, 2023, hiding in a motel just outside Memphis, Tennessee. U.S. Marshals found him with a packed bag, fake ID, and over $3,000 in cash, suggesting plans to flee further. His arrest was swift and without incident. Prosecutors charged him with capital murder, adding weapons charges and fleeing justice to the indictment. Unlike 2012, this time they had surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and a solid timeline of events. The district attorney's office pushed for the death penalty, citing the 2012 case as evidence of a long-term pattern of violence. In custody, Brown maintained his innocence, claiming Edwina's death was accidental during an argument. But evidence told a different story. The multiple gunshot wounds, his immediate flight from the scene, and the planned nature of the attack all pointed to premeditated murder. His bail request was denied, with the judge citing his previous history and flight risk. The case moved toward trial, promising a final chapter in a story that spanned more than a decade of violence.
In the wake of Edwina's death, Little Rock's community transformed grief into action. Her dance students performed a tribute at what would have been her next competition, wearing purple ribbons, the color of domestic violence awareness. The Bodacious Beauty Boutique's final collection became a memorial, with proceeds directed to local women's shelters. Her colleagues at Blue Cross Blue Shield established a scholarship fund for children affected by domestic violence, naming it in her honor. As we reflect on Edwina's life and her tragic end, it forces us to confront difficult truths. What are your takeaways from this devastating case? Share your reflections in the comments. If you believe stories like Edwina's need to be heard and understood, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and turning on notifications. Together, we can shed light on these issues and honor Edwina's memory.